Welcome back. This is lesson 9 in this section of the training working with data, cells, rows, and columns. Still on the training how to get started with Excel. And in this lesson, we'll be looking at how to use the undo and the redo feature. I am Amaka Ife your instructor. The undo and the redo button helps the user to either cancel or repeat an action that has been previously taken on the worksheet. The undo and the redo buttons is found on the quick access toolbar. Remember when we looked at the lesson quick access toolbar and its customization, I mentioned that there are three buttons that by default is on the toolbar in your Excel application, and the undo and the redo forms part of those buttons. So this is our undo button where my cursor is hovering, and this is the redo button. You can also use the shortcut in carrying out the undo and the redo function. So you use Ctrl Z to undo or Ctrl Y to undo. So this is the shortcut of redo, and this is the shortcut of undo. I'll just show you that on the on-screen keyboard. When you press your Control key down while it's still down, you press your Z. That is undo. Press your Control key down. While your Control key is still down, you press your letter Z, and that's the undo. And when you press your Control key down while it's still down, you press your Y. That's the redo, right? So it depends on the one that is more efficient for you, but I believe the shortcut is more efficient as time goes on. You either use the Control Z to undo, Control Y to redo, right? So I'll be using an illustration to just buttress more on how these two features work. In this cell, we have 2000. I'll type in 5000, 5000. And after typing in this 5000, if I want to return it back to the 2000 it was before, I will just use the undo. And immediately I click on the undo, it cancels the last action, which is the 5000 I just typed in. Either I use Ctrl Z to take it back to the 2000 that it was, or I use this undo button on the quick access toolbar to cancel the last action I just took, right? So I'll click on this and immediately you see the 2000 is there. If I want to take it back to the 5000, I will use that is, if I want to repeat the action, I'll use the redo. So I'll click on this redo or Control Y. So I'll be using the redo on the quick access toolbar. I'll click on it and it brings it back to 5000. Let me type status on this cell. Status. Now, I've typed in status here, but before I did that, I typed in 5000. Remember, there's a 5000 here and there's a status here. Now, when I go to my undo button, beside it, there's an arrow. Click on it. You see that the first action is the last action I took, which is the status I typed in, while the second is the 5000 I typed in. Right. If I want to cancel this 5000, I'll just click on this. But I would like to show us how to cancel more than one action. And to do that, you click on this, like if I want to cancel both status and the action before status, I click on the action before status, which is the 5000 I inputted. Right. So if I click on this, both the 5000 will be cancelled and the status will also be cancelled. So these two actions will be cancelled. So if you see, if you notice, as I select, as my cursor is going down, you see that all the actions that are first are highlighted. Let's say I want to select the font size. I want to cancel this font size. If I click on it, you see that it's not just the font size I will cancel. I'll cancel all the action before that came after the font size. If I click on this column width, you see that all the action after the column width will also be cancelled. So that's how you cancel more than one action. Now I just want to cancel both the status and the 5000. All I need to do is to click on this this second action, and both the 5000 I typed in and the status I typed in will be cancelled. you see. So I now have the 2,000 back here. The 5,000 I typed initially was cancelled. The status I typed in here was cancelled. If I want to repeat this action, the two action, I'll go to the redo. The drop down button by I'll select it. You see that this two action is here now. So it's either I click on this one, repeat this 5,000, or when I click on repeat on this second action, it will repeat both the 5,000 I initially typed in and the status. So watch and see the effect. You see the status has uh, been repeated, then the 5,000 I initially typed in has also been repeated, right? So this is how the undo and the redo button works, right? It's either you use your Control Z to undo, to cancel an action, use your Control Y to repeat an action. You either use this shortcut or you use the button on the quick access toolbar. If you want to cancel more than one action, just use the arrows beside the undo and use the arrow by the side of the redo to either cancel more than one action or repeat more than one action, right? And one thing you know is that when the button is grayed out, you can't redo. Same with the undo. When the button is grayed out, the Excel is telling the user you can't undo, right? So you can see now from our workbook that we are working on, the redo is already grayed out. As I hover, it's telling me I can't redo, right? And if you're using an Excel 2010 version, when you save the workbook, automatically the redo grays out. You can redo, but you can still undo. So you see that your undo is still active and you can still cancel some action, but your redo is grayed out already. Right. So when it's grayed out like that, it tells you you can't undo or you can't redo. Right. So this brings us to the end of this lesson. How you can go about using the undo and the redo feature. So see you in the next lesson.